Hey there, I'm so glad you're here. If you're watching this, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment to let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm dying to see how far this story travels. Buckle up, because what I'm about to share is a wild ride. A tale of betrayal, revenge, and a truth so shocking it turned my quiet suburban life into a neighborhood spectacle. It all started with a single moment that unraveled everything. I thought I knew about my family. Let me take you back to that night. The house was still, the kind of quiet that feels heavy, like it's holding secrets it doesn't want to share. The old wooden clock on the wall, my mom's wedding gift to us, ticked away, each second sounding louder than the last, like it was accusing me of missing something. My husband, David, had just come home from another one of his late-night client dinners. He looked drained, not just tired, but burdened. His eyes carried shadows I hadn't noticed before, and his shoulders slumped like he was carrying a weight he couldn't shake. He tossed his coat over the arm of the couch, loosened his tie like it was choking him, and sank into bed without a word. No shower, no goodnight kiss, just the creak of the mattress and the faint whiff of his cologne, sharp and expensive, but laced with something else. Something sweet, floral, unfamiliar. It wasn't mine. I stood there in the living room, staring at the mess he'd left behind. His wallet, keys, phone, all scattered like breadcrumbs of a life I wasn't sure I recognized anymore. His phone screen was still lit up, glowing like it was daring me to look. An email notification. I hesitated. David always said he hated emails. Too much hassle, Sarah, he'd say with that easy grin of his. I'd rather just pick up the phone. But there it was. An email, bold and unopened. My heart thudded as I tapped the screen, curiosity outweighing the guilt. The message was short, but it hit like a punch to the gut. You were amazing tonight, Pops. Followed by a little red heart emoji. Pops? My blood ran cold. Who was calling my husband Pops? And why did it feel so intimate? I scrolled for more, my fingers shaking, but there was nothing else. Just a cryptic email address, a string of random letters and numbers that gave me no answers, only a sinking feeling in my stomach. I glanced toward the bedroom where David was already snoring, his face calm, oblivious to the storm he'd just unleashed in me. I put the phone back, my hands trembling so badly I nearly dropped it. I started tidying up, moving on autopilot, picking up his coat, his socks, anything to keep my hands busy while my mind spiraled. In his coat pocket, I found a crumpled receipt, a high-end Italian restaurant in Austin, dated that very night. My heart sank deeper. He'd told me he was in Houston for work. Austin was only an hour away, a place he loved because it reminded him of his college days. The receipt was for two, a bottle of Chianti, a steak, and a seafood risotto. I could still remember the last time he took me out for a meal like that. Our 15th anniversary, when we laughed over candlelight and he promised we'd grow old together. Now that memory felt like a cruel joke. I snapped a photo of the receipt with my phone, my hands shaking with a mix of anger and dread. I didn't want to believe it, but 35 years of marriage gives you a kind of intuition, a gut feeling that screams when something's wrong. And something was very wrong. I slipped into the garage, the air thick with the smell of motor oil and that same sweet, floral scent clinging to David's clothes. His pickup truck was still warm from his drive. I opened the driver's side door, my flashlight beam cutting through the dark. Nothing unusual at first. Just some loose change, a crumpled gas station receipt. But when I opened the glove compartment, my breath caught. A small tube of personal lubricant, half used, the cap crusted with dried residue. My heart stopped. David and I hadn't been intimate in years. He always blamed it on stress, on age, on anything but me. So what was this doing here? I held the tube like it was a grenade, my mind racing. Who was he with? Why was this in his truck? I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. I snapped a picture, put the tube back exactly where I found it, and wiped my hands on my jeans, as if I could scrub away the betrayal. Under the passenger seat, I found a tissue, crumpled and reeking of that same floral perfume. It wasn't mine. I took another photo, my hands moving like they belonged to someone else. Back in the house, I sat at the kitchen table staring at the evidence on my phone. The email, the receipt, the lubricant, the tissue. It was a puzzle, and every piece pointed to a truth I wasn't ready to face. David was cheating on me. I was sure of it. The next morning, David shuffled into the kitchen, his hair messy, his eyes still heavy with sleep. He grabbed his coffee, barely looking at me. "Big meeting today," he mumbled. "Probably gonna be late again." His voice was so casual, so practiced it made my skin crawl. I nodded, forcing a smile. "Okay, be safe." But inside I was screaming. "Where are you really going, David? Who are you meeting?" He gave me a quick peck on the cheek, a hollow gesture, and left. The door clicked shut, and I was alone with my thoughts, the silence louder than ever. I couldn't just sit there, letting my imagination run wild. I needed answers. I called my old friend Linda, who'd been through her own messy divorce years ago. She'd once mentioned a private investigator, someone discreet who could dig up the truth. "Sarah, you okay?" she asked, her voice soft but urgent. I swallowed hard. "I just need his number, Linda. Please." She didn't push, just texted me the contact for a guy named Mike. Mike Turner, private investigator. "He's good, Sarah. Call him." An hour later, I was sitting in a quiet coffee shop downtown, my hands wrapped around a cold latte I hadn't touched. Mike walked in, mid-40s, unassuming, with sharp eyes that seemed to see right through me. I handed him a USB drive with the photos I'd taken. "This is all I've got," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I think David's cheating. I need to know for sure." He nodded, his face unreadable, and promised to start tailing David that afternoon. "Go home, Sarah. Act normal. I'll call you when I have something." Walking out of that coffee shop, I felt like I was floating, detached from my own life. 35 years with David, through late nights building my catering business, through raising our son, Ethan, through every fight and every laugh. I thought we were unbreakable. Now I was paying a stranger to follow my husband. The irony stung. That night I was in my catering kitchen, prepping for a big order when my phone buzzed. A message from Mike. My heart raced as I opened it. A photo loaded. David in his favorite navy button-up, walking into a sleek Austin restaurant, hand in hand with a woman. I zoomed in, and my world tilted. It was Jessica, Ethan's wife, my daughter-in-law. She was in a red dress, her blonde hair loose, her smile bright. They didn't look like family. They looked like lovers. My knees buckled, but I kept scrolling. More photos. Them laughing over wine, her leaning close. Him brushing her hair back with a tenderness I hadn't seen in years. Then a video. I slipped on my headphones, my hands shaking as I hit play. Jessica's voice, soft and teasing, saying something that made David laugh. A deep, genuine laugh I hadn't heard in forever. They left the restaurant and he opened the truck door for her, his hand lingering on her back. I replayed the video, each loop a fresh wound. Jessica, who I'd welcomed like a daughter, who I'd taught to make my grandmother's pecan pie recipe. David, who'd stood by me through every milestone. How long had this been going on? How had I missed it? At family dinners, Jessica always seemed cool toward David, barely speaking to him. Ethan would laugh it off, saying, "Jess just isn't a fan of Dad's bad jokes." I'd believed it. We all had. But now it was clear. They'd been playing us all along. I saved every photo, every video, cataloging them like evidence for a trial. My catering kitchen, usually my sanctuary, felt suffocating. The smell of fresh bread couldn't drown out the bitterness in my chest. The next morning, Mike sent more. Photos of David and Jessica outside a lawyer's office, walking too close, her arm brushing his. Then a video from a hotel balcony. David's arm around her waist, her head on his shoulder. A quick kiss that shattered whatever hope I had left. Mike's message. They booked a room for the night. I'll keep watching. I stared at the screen, my throat tight. David had texted me that morning. Staying late for a client in Houston. Don't wait up. Lies. He was in Austin, with her, in a hotel room paid for with our money. I saved everything to a hard drive, my hands moving mechanically. Each click felt like locking away a piece of my heart. I thought of Ethan, oblivious to his wife's betrayal, to his father's. How could I tell him? How could I break his world like mine was breaking? But I couldn't stop now. I needed more proof, something undeniable. That night, I went through David's phone again while he slept. Nothing new. No texts, no calls. Just that same cryptic email. Too clean, like he'd scrubbed his tracks. But I wasn't giving up. The next day, I set my plan in motion. I told David I had to go to Dallas for a catering consultation, knowing it would give him the perfect chance to slip up. "I'll be back late," I said, watching his face. His eyes lit up just for a second, before he masked it with a nod. "Sounds good, Sarah. Be safe." I smiled, but inside I was seething. I knew what he was planning. I wasn't going to Dallas. I was going to wait, and I was going to catch them. I called Mike and asked him to double down. "Follow them everywhere," I said. "I need everything. Conversations, photos, anything you can get." He didn't ask questions, just said, "I'm on it." That night, I hid a small voice recorder in our bedroom, tucked behind a photo frame from Ethan and Jessica's wedding. Their smiling faces stared back at me, a cruel reminder of the lie I'd lived. I checked the battery, set it to record, and went to bed, pretending to sleep while David's snores filled the room. At midnight, I heard him stir. His phone lit up the dark, and he slipped out of bed, whispering into it. I crept to the living room, hiding behind the curtains, and listened. "Yeah, Jess, come over tomorrow," he said, his voice low. "Sarah's gone all day. We'll have the house to ourselves." Her laugh came through the phone, bright and careless. "Perfect, Pops. No more sneaking around." My blood boiled, but I stayed silent, letting the recorder catch every word. The next morning, I left the house early, pretending to head to the bus station. Instead, I went to my neighbor Karen's place across the street. She was a retired teacher, always up early with her coffee, and she didn't ask too many questions when I said I needed to watch the house for a bit. "Sure, Sarah. Stay as long as you need," she said, handing me a mug. I sat by her window, my eyes locked on our front door. My phone connected to the recorder's app. Around 9 a.m., a cab pulled up. Jessica stepped out, her hair in a messy bun, sunglasses hiding her eyes. David opened the door, glanced around nervously, and pulled her inside. I turned on the recorder app and their voices filled my headphones. Laughter, the clink of glasses, then the unmistakable creak of our bed. My stomach churned, but I kept listening. Jessica's voice sharp and cold. "We need to wrap this up. Pops, those contracts need to be signed soon. I want her out of the picture." David's reply was calm, almost smug. "Don't worry. Jess, Sarah doesn't suspect a thing. The catering business is as good as ours." I froze. This wasn't just an affair. They were plotting to take my business, the one I'd built from nothing, the one that paid for Ethan's college, for our home, for everything. I'd spent years perfecting recipes, shaking hands with clients, waking up at 4 a.m. to bake. David never lifted a finger in the kitchen, but now he wanted it all. My rage turned cold, focused. I wasn't just fighting for my marriage anymore. I was fighting for my life. That night, I slipped back into the house while David was asleep. His truck keys were on the nightstand, glinting in the moonlight. I grabbed them and headed to the garage. The lubricant tube was still there, mocking me. I took it to the kitchen, washed my hands until they were raw, and grabbed a tube of industrial adhesive from my toolbox. The kind I used to fix broken catering equipment. I emptied the lubricant and filled the tube with glue, careful to make it look untouched. I shook it, tested a drop. Perfect. No one would know the difference. I placed it back in the glove compartment, my hands steady now, my plan taking shape. The next day, I told David I had another trip, this time to San Antonio for a client meeting. His eyes lit up again, that same flicker of relief. "No problem," he said, kissing my forehead. "I'll hold down the fort." I nodded, my smile tight, and left. But I didn't go far. I parked a block away, hidden behind a row of trees, and waited. Mike was already on the case, his camera ready. Around noon, Jessica showed up again, this time in a sundress, her laugh echoing as David let her in. I listened through the recorder app, my heart pounding. The bed creaked, their voices muffled. Then a sudden scream. Jessica panicked. "David, what's wrong?" We're stuck!" David's voice frantic. "Hold on, let me." Damn it, what is this? I smiled just a little. The glue was working. But I wasn't done. I'd rigged a small trap in the kitchen. A pan of oil on the stove, connected to a string I could pull from my phone via a makeshift remote. I tapped the app and the string yanked the igniter. Flames flickered, and thick black smoke poured out of the kitchen window. Neighbors started gathering, shouting, "Fire! Call 911. Karen, standing next to me, gasped, "Sarah, your house." I played along, feigning panic. But inside, I was calm. Everything was going exactly as planned. The fire department arrived in minutes, sirens blaring. My heart clenched when I saw Ethan leap out of the truck, his fire chief helmet gleaming. He didn't know what he was walking into. He led his team, breaking down the front door with an axe, shouting orders. I listened through the recorder as they reached the bedroom. Ethan's voice cracked. "Dad? Jessica! What the hell is this?" A firefighter behind him muttered, "Holy crap!" Before Ethan snapped, "Quiet!" The pain in his voice broke me. But I couldn't stop now. The smoke was under control quickly. Just a small oil fire. Nothing serious. But the real damage was done. Neighbors crowded the lawn, whispering, pointing. David and his daughter-in-law? No way. Poor Sarah, how could they? Someone was recording, the video already spreading like wildfire online. Ethan emerged from the house, his face ashen, his hands shaking. The firefighters carried David and Jessica out on stretchers, wrapped in sheets, their faces twisted in pain and humiliation. Jessica was sobbing. "Please make it stop." David just groaned. "Don't let them see us." But it was too late. The whole neighborhood saw. I slipped into the crowd, pretending I'd just rushed back from San Antonio. At the hospital, I played the devastated wife, clutching my purse where I'd hidden 2 tubes of spicy mustard. The doctor said they'd separated them. No permanent damage, just some skin irritation. "Can I see them?" I asked, my voice trembling for effect. The nurse handed me 2 tubes of ointment, her eyes full of pity. "I'm so sorry. Ma'am." I swapped the ointment for the mustard when she turned away, my hands quick and sure. In their room, I set the tubes on the table, my face a mask of concern. "Are you okay?" I asked. Jessica couldn't meet my eyes. David stammered, "Sarah, I can explain." I didn't let him finish. I walked out. Minutes later, their screams echoed down the hall. "It burns!" Jessica wailed. David cursed. "What is this stuff?" Nurses rushed in. Patients craned their necks, whispering about the cheating couple from the viral video. I stood in the hallway, my face blank, but inside I felt a grim satisfaction. They'd tried to take everything from me. My family, my business, my dignity. Now they were paying the price. Ethan met me outside their room, holding the envelope I'd asked him to grab from the house. Inside were divorce papers for me and David, and copies for him and Jessica. I slid them across the table to David, my voice steady. "Sign these, then get out of our lives." Jessica sobbed, begging Ethan for forgiveness, but he just walked away, his silence louder than any words. David reached for my hand, pleading, but I pulled back. "You made your choice," I said and left. In the weeks that followed, my catering business thrived. Customers poured in, drawn by the gossip but staying for the food. "Sarah, you're an inspiration," Karen said, buying a tray of cupcakes. "You stood your ground." I smiled, but the victory was bittersweet. Ethan moved in with me, helping with deliveries, his laughter slowly returning. We'd lost a lot, our trust, our family as we knew it. But we had each other. Every morning we'd fire up the ovens together, the smell of fresh bread filling the air. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours. So what did you think of my story? Drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. If you loved it, hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories. Thanks for being here. Until next time.